Right. お願いします。
お願いします。
Okay. Let's just loosen up a little bit. Find a bounce to the body. Hands up and down to the feet. And swinging through the arms. Open up the chest. That was reaching up and over to the sides. Nice big circles with the hips. And change. Hands the knees and back to the top. Bringing the feet together, circling knees. And change direction. Put that to the back, rolling the hands up. Circle the ankle. And change. And over, opening the hands up. Change direction. Your legs out to the side. And leg back, pressing the heel down to the ground. And the leg. We're just bringing the knee a little bit to the ground, float it off the ground. Then a little bit of a pulse down. In the leg, open the knee off the ground. Taking the legs out wide, reach up the ankle to one side and the other. So both ankles down. Walking the hands out, pulling the hips and the hands apart. The weight towards the hands, bring the feet together at the back, walk out the legs a little bit. Pressing both feet back. Pull the hips down. Walking the hands and feet together. And folding forward. Nice and slowly, coming back to standing. Right, still let the arms a little bit. Side. Take it one way. Oh, release. Take it to the other side. Oh, release. Wrist up over the top. A little bit of a side bend into it. Chin over. Reaching the arms across. Switching, alternating. Hands to the sides. Pressing two walls away. Pull the fingers back towards the body. Spread them away from each other. And roll in front and back of the shoulder. In that line. Nice and tight. Bring and palm side up. In the arms out. Widen the hands across the face. The elbow. Chin direction. Release out to the front. Roll that wrist a little bit. Roll the other way. Press the hands out to the side. In this case, you make like a hook position with the finger and thumbs coming together. Point it towards the forearm. Hold it a few seconds, release it, press the hands out. Find that hook position again, point towards your own forearm. Hold it, release it. Hold it, release. And then you switch the position of the hands so the fingers are down. You're pointing up over the top. Release it. So just with the hands out, open and close the hands. Slowly bringing them up to the top. And bring them down to the front. Let them come down to the sides of the body. Shake the wrists out the top. Yeah, get them out. Release out the arm. Legs. Planting the feet, shake the whole body up. A little bit tighter each time. Okay, perfect. Take a joke. We'll continue with SUBURI. Yep. We'll just do a quick revision of, we were looking at 1 to 5 yesterday. We'll just start with those. So, starting with number 1, do a short set of each of them. Neutral, engaging for ski. Really ground the body at the end of the ski. All back to neutral. Good. We'll take it to number 2. So this time you're taking thumb down.
Michael's frozen, so just continue with the exercise. Okay, he's back now. You froze, Michael.
Going. It's just the Wi-Fi coverage. Keep going. Okay. Yeah, so for this one, you're taking thumb down at the top, coming over, and then this one. The tricky bit in this one, think about 2 arcs that are coming in with the hands. So you think about initiating from the core, and then the hands away. So you're going to open, you're going to find the jaw this way. So you want the core of the body to initiate it. The hands follow, the jaw follows. You're taking you finish with a reverse. And push this one. Here's nice. Nice. Hold. Great. We'll take it to number 3. So this time I'm going to Shido. So just do this with a 2-step. Switch the position, find the forearm, and then you're pressing up to the back. So find the forearm, strong root in the right foot. Just press the foot back. The right foot. Right back. Hold. Hold. And same with this one. Once you've got the kind of basic coordination for it, in terms of where the hand's going, what the jaw position is on the forearm, think about really doing this in one motion. So you want to really let the core of the body lead, and then fire the periphery of the body, and you lead the go out again from the core of the body. So think about this as a kind of closing position into the core, and then expression out the back end of the movement. So the body's going to close in and expand out to the back. Great. We'll take to number 4. So going into 𝗧𝗥𝗔𝗓𝗪, starting already in the 𝗧𝗥𝗪𝗧, thrusting in, drawing the jaw back, and you're striking low with the back side, back end of the weapon. The 𝗧𝗥, pulling back, and 𝗧𝗥𝗔𝗓𝗪. Okay. Ow. Ow. Oh. Good. Very good. Okay, we'll take to number 5. So this is going up to the top. 𝗧, raise up to the top of the head, hands together. Switch the end of the jump, and you're striking. It does that again. Yeah. Thrust, reach up, change, striker on the right side. Great. Great. We'll take to the next set. So this is 6 to 10. And again, they're all asymmetrical in terms of the 𝘭𝘪𝘀𝗬. So this one, they all start in the right side. Begins or pretty much the same form as you would do with the second, 𝘭𝘪𝘀𝑬. In this case, you raise up to the top, you step back, and then you're stepping in forward, striking through. It's a nice, simple one to begin the series. Comes up to the top, engage to the step, to the strike. Again, just want a nice, clear, grounded position at the end. Raise up to the top, there, lift, ground. The rest of the movements we do in the 𝘧𝗪i are just a combination from this. Last one. And the main job of this spirit, apart from setting up the next or the first move of the series in the next set, think about really in this case the ability to just raise the jaw from the body. So the main block for this is that one hand's going to kind of dominate the movement, in which case generally the left hand's going to kind of push forward and you try and raise the jaw this way. So just play with this in this case as you do the movement. Think about just releasing one of the hands. So particularly the left hand to play with as you go into the raise. just play with the ability to just raise up through the body. So you're looking to again kind of gather the 𝘗 into the body rather than release it and raise it out. Think about gathering it into the body this way. So just play with the raise just a few times here. You can also release the right hand with it. But you're just looking for a nice clean path of the 𝘗, but one that again is not going to kind of pull the 𝘗 out from the body and then create a kind of portion or create a kind of disruption in the connection here. So just play with, you just raising up to the top. Don't worry about the stride, but just the ability to ground the body in the foot, switch into the hip, and then just pull the 𝘗 up. That movement. So the 𝘗 should feel relatively light. You shouldn't feel a kind of kick out from the body. You should just feel that you're connecting into the core. And just raise it. In a sense, kind of the difference between kind of lifting the 𝘗 up with the arm and and then just a little bit of an exercise here. You're going to use both hands back into both hands. Just play with this very first position. What I want you to do is play with creating an impulse from the core, and then the feeling of the 𝘧𝗪 to sustain it through. So what I want you to play with is the core is going to kind of just find a movement, and you just want to feel that it transfers into the hands. Okay, so you just create an impulse, and then with that feeling, think about raising the 𝘗 up, sustain it through, and then into the stride. Okay, so the 𝘧𝗪 is just a kind of test of that connection to connect to the core, to the tip of the weapon. And you're looking to create a connection, sustain it into the raise, and then maintain that connecting into the cut. Yeah. And that again, the ability to connect out with it's going to give a bit of feedback at the end of the movement. You know, like a slight vibration at the tip of it. And that's a result of the center and the hand working together to stabilize, basically express an impulse out the tip of the 𝘗. But the work in this case is kind of maintain it. First feel it at the beginning, maintain it into the raise, or just into the cut. And then the next one's just a strike again on the left side. So you do the same form to begin. Raise at the top, striking on the right, and then you're going to let the tip of the 𝘗 circle to the back, and you're just stepping in on the left side. So it's a step back, strike on the right, step through, stepping on the left side. One to the top, two into the strike, three onto the other side. Yeah, just a check on that position. Just play with this, the feeling to go into the raise on the left side. It's different from the first raise, obviously, because you're going into it. But yeah, watch for one hand dominating the movement, which can be the left hand pushing forward, pushing that way, and basically pulling out. Or it can be the right hand pulling back, doing something like this, pulling back to the hand. Try and avoid either of these and just get the feelings that the center, the impulse from the center just passes into the hands and then just presses the 𝘗 up. Okay, so you're doing a raise again with the 𝘗, but in this case, you're doing it with the forward motion and you're trying to get the body in between the hands, basically, and you're trying to press the 𝘗 up from that position. Again, rather than pushing out with the left hand or pulling back with the right hand. Yes, bring the body in and find that movement. Again, that impulse from the core that you find in the stride, use it. Going to the left side. Use it, left side. Again, the 𝘭 should feel relatively light in that raising motion on the left side. But in this case, an active raise into a strike. Yeah. Yeah, we go to the next one. So this is striking again on the right side, and then you're going to go into a 𝘭𝘫𝘦𝘫, this time on the left side of the body. So it's striking in the same way, onto the right, roll the 𝘭 back, and you're striking on the left side with the 𝘭𝘫𝘦𝘫. So raise, cut on the right, roll the 𝘭 back, right on the left side. Hold. Hold. Yeah, just an exercise with this. Think about, in this case, working from the right side. Again, you're looking to basically create an impulse from the core of the body and send it to the stick in this case. In this case, don't move the right leg, just keep it where it is. So think about an impulse into the movement here, that as if you've done the strike, and then just round yourself into that right foot. And then the work is to get the left hand really active with the left hip basically opening. So you're going from this kind of hammy position, yeah, straight in, and then really opening the back hip up. In this case, just round that right leg. You move it later in the full 𝘬𝘪i, but just to get that feeling of the root of the movement there, in the back hip being flexible. You want to feel that the 𝘭 again is just able to mobilize to the back, nice and easy. And in that moment, the 𝘭 should feel again quite light in the hands. Shouldn't feel like a kind of heavy drag back of the body. You feel just the 𝘭 just kind of shoots back. And hip. That's it. Nice. Yeah. Got it. That's it. Good. Hold. Right. And then just take it back to the full 𝘬𝘪i. Again, you're bringing in the leg movement now. So you're doing a little bit of a bigger movement. You're drawing this leg in. And then think about placing that in a way where you can just, again, pass through the hip and find a strike. Striking in. Use the impulse to send the 𝘭 back and then roll the hip through. Strike. Hold. Hold. Right. Next one is to do the strike on the right side, and then you're thrusting to the rear straight away. So using the similar kind of connection. Step back, strike in, and then this goes straight back into the scoop to the rear. And trying to generate that feeling from the fore. Strike in, send the impulse to the hand. The tip of the jaw. Out. 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 Right. And then the last subur in the set just goes into a different beginning. So you're starting in the right side. In this case, you go into the left side strike, circularly, and then go to the ski to the back. So it's striking on the left side this time, strike on the left, and then a ski to the rear on the right side of the body. Strike in, strike to the rear. This time, 𝘭𝘰𝘢𝘵𝘦𝘢, ski. Hello, Sven. Good. Okay, so that's the first basic set of movements with the Joe. So 1 to 10, dealing with thrusting and striking. The next set of 3 are basically one-handed movements. They're a little bit tricky and they're very asymmetrical. So there's a couple of problems with all of them, but we'll look at them nice and slowly. So the first one goes from the left side, 𝘭𝘰𝘦𝘢. The first movement is just to pull the Joe back onto the right side of the body, and you're looking to basically get just the Joe in some kind of little bit of this position. So you're not right at the end of the Joe. You're going from here just into this position. The other thing that you're doing with this is you're extending the Joe out, and you're basically preparing the Joe in a position where you can make a strike. The strike in this case is going to be a raising strike up to the top. But just play within this case, just finding this position, just there. And you want to feel that the arms really anchored into the back. The legs are nice and strong. And you should just feel that the hips are grounded, but mobile. But you want to feel that the hips are able to mobilize. And then later you're going to pass that into the arm. But the first thing is just go from this 𝘭𝘰𝘦𝘢, roll the Joe back, and you just want to feel comfortable in this position. Okay. Most of the Joe's weighted in the right hand. You can use the left hand just there as a bit of support. Just find that position. The main thing is not to twist the body as you go into this. So you want the body to be strong. You want a nice clear focus forward. And okay, yeah. And there's a couple of positions where I make the next movement a bit difficult. One is going a little bit too low and close to the body, so I end up in like a jammed position here, and then the movement's really kind of too tight. The other one is where the arms are too high, so I'm in this kind of position, and the arms are basically not really anchored to the body, and they're way too far away. So you're looking for something just in between, just there. So the arms are extended strongly into the body, but there's a space between the body. So again, just play with. Again, there's a position of the shoulder where it's going to be uncomfortable to make the next movement, and a position where it's going to be just too tight to the body, and it's not going to really have any effect. So you're just in this position. The grip's nice and strong, and the forearm's really strong in this position.
Where is the back tip pointing to, Michael?
Say again?
Back tip of the jaw, where is it pointing to? Is it pointing to your center at the back? Or
yeah. It's not away this way. So if I'm here, it's basically in this position. It's basically following the arm, and I'm in this position.
Okay.
The reason is I close the grip. If it's kind of pointing that way, I'm not really close the grip. It's kind of floating away that way, or I'm in a kind of screwed shoulder position. So I'm in that position. Tips there. Next step from this, keep the left hand on the jaw. It's just to get the idea of the strike. So you're here, it's on the jaw in the fingertips, and then all you want to do is just play with switching the legs and striking up into this position. Okay? So what you're looking for in this case is an R, which raises up to the top this way. Again, same feeling as you go into this next position, just checking with the shoulder. So it won't feel particularly happy in this position to hold it, but there's worse positions and there's cramped positions. So just look for one which is, again, extending, and the strike in this case is a 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘢. So it's a raising strike, which is going to take the top of the head. That's just check that position. And again, the main thing with this 𝘧𝗫𝗠 or all these next three is not to twist the structure. So you want to really set the structure up so that it's strong, extending. So, yeah. And then we'll just take to the third position. So the idea with this is to bring the jaw through that arc here and then switch it up at the top this way. And again, you'll finish in a very asymmetrical position. The left hand in this case is at the top, and you're finishing here. So you're taking the jaw around in an arc from the right side of the body, raising up through the 𝘥𝘢𝘦 and then into the top position. The idea of this top position is so that you could drop the jaw back in and down, but that's another part. So in this case, just the 𝘧𝗫𝗠 come to the side, raise up into the strike, draw the jaw, continue it, and finish it off the body. Good. A little bit tricky to under space. Just be careful. Looking nice. So the main danger of this is that all of these movements, because most of the weight's loaded into the right wrist, that if the wrist is too weak, you get too much torsion goes to the wrist, and it takes a lot of tension, and you can't do too many of these. And especially when you go to hitting, if the wrist is too weak, it's too loose, it's basically going to take all the stress of the body. So play with this. That most of the rotation in this case, the articulation is coming from the forearm and its ability to rotate through this movement. So you're taking the forearm from that position to this position, but the wrist through that motion is strong. It's not totally braced because you need some flexion in the wrist to be able to create that, but it's this motion of the forearm that's creating the motion rather than a kind of flick out of the wrist. And if you do it with a flick out of the wrist, you create all the torsion that goes right to the wrist joint. So in this case, just play with it slowly, but the ability to keep the wrist strong and allow the forearm to take over. That rotation. Don't need a lot of rotation for this one. Nice. Good. Yeah. So the other thing with this is what the left hand does. So think that the problem with this is trying to catch the jaw at the top of the movement. So something like this, trying to catch it at the top. the further you go out from this position, the less you know about the position of the 𝘗. So the more you know about the position of the 𝘗 is actually here, right? Because it's where the hand is. So I use that position to actually use the guide for the 𝘗 this way. So you're going to use the fingers in this case just to guide up this way. So rather than separating the hand out and then trying to catch it at the end, you're just rolling through the top position with the hand. So it goes from here to this position. So you're just spreading things into that position. Once it's in that position, then you can take it, you can continue it. But you don't want to basically try and catch it at the top. The risk is also that you're going to try and you'll hit the fingers as you try and catch it. And this is also kind of not really a great thing to do. So yeah, so that's good. Good. And as you start to take this into one motion, really be sensitive to the body and what happens after it. So the main thing that happens with this one is the body raises and then gets twisted out to the back. So it's like this kind of movement happening. So the movement of the 𝘗 is basically infecting the spine, and then it gets kind of pulled out. So think about strongly connecting to the core of the body. The core just basically goes in and settles, and the hands and the arms do all that mobility work, and the 𝘗 follows that. But it's not that the core basically gets pulled up and around. Okay, so stabilize the body in this point, really strong in the core, and then you release the 𝘗 out from that position. And again, the key thing with this is to not twist the structure, just to ground and allow that movement to happen. You want to be really stable at the end of that motion. And the best way to do this is really slow. If you go fast, you'll get a lot of feedback in the body. But going slowly where you will be able to really check the structure through that motion. But it's a tricky motion for the body to ground. That's very nice. Good. Good. Great. Good. Okay, we'll do the second of the series. So again, starting in a 𝘭𝘂𝗡𝗡. In this case, you're going over to the top and you're taking the 𝘗 behind the back of the head. In the same way we did with this one, you want a little bit of space between the hand and the 𝘗, the end of the 𝘗. The same with this one. So as you go from this 𝘭𝘂𝗡𝗡, just allow the hand to shift a little bit at the top. You do it. You're going to take the 𝘗 to back of the head, the left arm's extending, and then a similar kind of thing, but you're going to strike now low, from high to low, coming down to the side this way. So in this case, the body rocks side to the back, takes the 𝘗 across the back of the head, and then you release, change the leg, sweep the 𝘗 down, and you're coming out to the back side of the body. So in this case, it's high to low. Coming through, strike, and then finish at the end. So this is 𝘭𝘪𝘨 𝘭𝘪𝘨, which means like a one-handed long distance strike or big distance. Yeah. Tricky with the space. Okay, good. Yeah, main issues with this one, it's actually the shoulder position at the beginning. So if you think of this really as like an extension of a 𝘭𝘪𝘨 work or 𝘭𝘭𝘪𝘨 work, you want the elbow to be strongly connecting to the body here. The problem is you need to be a little bit more open, but the tendency is then the shoulder gets locked into this position. And then if I go into this stretch, it's really a bad position for the shoulder. The spine really gets twisted with it. So think about, again, getting to this position. This is strong. And then just think about releasing the 𝘗 down in this position. So the key to this for the shoulder position is also what happens with the elbow. So you're trying to strongly connect the elbow to the side of the body and then drag it back down this way. So the motion is actually going to come from a strong connection from the hip to the elbow. This kind of feeling. So it's like a drag down through it rather than a pull out to the back. And then just listen to the shoulders you do it. So it's again a very asymmetrical. You've got a lot of weight in the right side. Let's kind of match it. the left side. And make sure the shoulder's happy. And yet that same issue with the wrist really comes up in this one. So if the wrist is the focus for the movement, what tends to happen is something like this kind of motion at the end of it. So you end up with a kind of whipping through the end at the end of the strike. This is a really weak strike, and if you think about it, if this is strong and then basically this is weak, all the pressure and the weight of the strike basically goes straight to this joint, and it really damages the wrist joint. So think again about the forearm. The wrist is strong, and then the forearm's able to just articulate this motion. Okay. The main tell if it's flicked the wrist is that the wrist ends up in this position at the end. Okay, so you're looking for a strong arm position through the strike. At the point of the strike, the wrist is really strong, so it's braced at that position, and then it's flexible to come to the end of the movement. But again, you don't want to flick the wrist out and the jaw out with it. Yeah, you'll just really damage the wrist. Even doing it in a SUBURI, if you do a 50 or 100 of them. That's it. Ah, yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, we'll just finish with one movement. It's quite a strange one, but it's a nice one, really for shoulder mobility. A lot of the problems with these forms, they come from like limitations in the shoulder, and doing more of the SUBURI actually never fixes it. It actually gets worse as you do it. So just play this just for the right side. You bring the feet close together. Start in this case with a little bit more of the hand towards the center of the jaw. You can do this later with right at the end, but think about being in this position. You're going to take the tip of the jaw around the left side, and you're going to arc it all the way across the back. You're going to slightly bend the body, bring the jaw all the way across, and then back to the front. And then just pass through both sides so that you take it to the right. You're arcing open the shoulder. You're bringing the body back, arc it across the front of the body, and then bring it back. So you're just taking it one side and then the other. You can do this on both sides. So I'll just show it for the right side. So you're, yeah. And just listening to the shoulder. Yeah, okay. The idea with this one is to pass the jaw right in the same line across, all the way, and then back, all the way, and back. This is a great one for the shoulder. So you're really opening the shoulder up. Nice big range of motion for it. Awesome. Nice. Right. Very nice. Awesome. Yeah. The other thing that's good for is like core stabilization while you're also being flexible. So it's one thing to have like a stable core and move the arm. It's another thing to be in motion with the spine and still stay stable with it. So again, just check in with the spine. If the spine's kind of not protected in this case, all the weight really goes to the wrong parts of the spine, basically, again, starts to damage it. So think about, in this case, really strong in the core. The legs are also really strong. And then you're just going to pass the jaw around. The stronger the core is here, the stronger this is, the more mobility you've actually got in the shoulder, and the weaker this is. All this stability work is going to go to the shoulder. So really stabilizing the core, stabilizing the legs, and then let it just pass around the back. Sweat. Good. Very good. Got it. That's it. Perfect. And then we'll just finish with another one, just a little bit wider with the shoulders. Reaching the hands out wide. Really open them up to the top. Once you get to there, think about drawing them up to the back. reach the back of the spine if it's comfortable. Keeping the spine nice and strong. Reach back up over. In this case, just trying to keep the jaw vertical. Horizontal with the ground. Release them back down. Just take a nice deep breath as you do it. Big open movement. Forward to the back. To the front. One more. I can just shake out a little bit. Shake out the shoulders, release the weight. Great. Feet well. Upright. Great. Domo arigato.
Domo, arigato, 𝘠𝗫𝗎𝘓.
Okie dokie. Very good.
Thank you.